Hi guys, I'm Casey Barbles. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are doing today with Memorial Hermann their awesome resolution reset. This is a monthly workshop, and if you're looking for more, in the chat section of this Zoom, you can find the link to join. They have a lot of great stuff planned, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. So today, we're talking about farmers markets, kind of the 101. I definitely encourage any questions that y'all have, put them into the chat section. They will beam them over to me, and I will try to get in all y'all's questions in this 30-minute window. So basically, a little bit about myself. I was diagnosed a handful of years ago with 3 pretty rare chronic syndromes that at 29 tried to put me in early term heart failure. And running out of a lot of options, I found farmers markets thanks to one of my friends. And so she, through visiting these farmers markets every single Saturday, I got to know, oh my God, I'm so sorry. If anyone can hear that, that's my dog Rue. So sorry. But essentially by visiting all of these farmers markets, I got to know through local farmers, local ranchers, and local chefs, just the true benefits of shopping locally, getting food essentially as close to your zip code as physically possible, because there's just so many benefits of a nutrient-dense soil, something that hasn't been picked early, and something, feel free to move her, okay, sorry. But basically, the further your food has to travel, obviously, we like our produce to look pretty, no bruises, no damages. And so what happens is they pick their produce early. And because it has a really long way to travel, it touches many different hands. And so the benefits of a farmer's market, there are plenty. But in this specific information, you want something that has literally touched maybe 1 or 2 hands before it touches yours. And so things that I learned at the farmer's market actually started to heal me from the inside. And it was extremely life-changing because I was at an age in my late 20s where I did not think there were any options and I was about to get on disability. And so these farmers markets truly did give me my life back, and getting to know the ranchers and the farmers and the chefs that all really have created a really beautiful community that is healing us and really benefiting our environment too as well. And so the way that I got into farmers markets is when I was getting my master's in clinical nutrition, because I am also a nutritionist, was I would do cooking demos around town, and I was doing one at Lemon Lane, just right in my neighborhood here in the Heights. And I was, all the ingredients were with local farms. I was highlighting just kind of the nutrient benefits of these things. And the class was such a hit that the developers with Heights Mercantile asked me if I wanted to run a farmer's market on their property. And it was kind of, you know, I didn't know where the heck I would fit the time. I was getting my master's and working 2 jobs, but it was a no-brainer. And so that was, September will be 2 years that I launched Heights Mercantile Farmers Market. It started out with just 14 vendors. Now we are at 62. And we also have, I have Rice Village Farmers Market, Spring Branch Village Farmers Market. I have MKT Sunset Market, which is going on right now, actually, and that was our first feel-good prototype. So I now have 2 companies that operate farmers markets here in Houston, and it's just so much fun. We have the informal grub markets, and then we have the feel-good group. So that is how I got into farmers markets, and I'm just, it's the kindest, most wonderful community. And so if you guys have not visited any of the wonderful Houston farmers markets, I highly recommend it. And hopefully by the end of this class, I will have y'all running there. So basically, I think a good place to start is essentially how to navigate a farmer's market. I understand that it could definitely be a little overwhelming, especially if it being your first time. Who is here? You know, it's sometimes I kind of compare it to if you go to a boutique and someone just immediately is on you like a fly, and they're just like, can I help you? What can I do? And it's just like sometimes uncomfortable. And so I will say it's sometimes a little nerve-wracking, kind of, you know, kind of being a looky-loo and taking a lap. And I think that's totally fine. When I started first getting comfortable at farmers markets, I first would call what I would call take a lap. I would just take an idea of who was there, what all they were offering, and then I could kind of see meals in front of me coming to life based on the ingredients that I was seeing. You know, something that really helps is thinking on, well, first coming with a plan, maybe a grocery list like you would going to the grocery store, because essentially the markets that I create, we have everything that you could get at a grocery store if you're shopping the perimeter, not the aisles, if you will. But basically, I joke that all I need at this point from a grocery store is Topo Chico. And I'm probably read that, next. And so we have everything. So first things first, go with a plan, probably make a list, and then walk around and just see what all they have to offer, what stands out to you, what is intriguing, what is just a very generic staple that you always have in your home. And then you can just buy that and make that your routine. It's really, the goal is, in my opinion, is how can I get the bulk of what I have in my house from the local farmers market? And so something that I always encourage is, number one, get there early, right when a market starts, because you're gonna have all of the options. Second, you wanna get the things that go fast. And typically what goes fast are your premium cuts of meat, so your ribeyes and your T-bones, your sirloin, all those more premium cuts, the fillets. So grab those. The eggs always are the first to go for sure. And then the produce for sure. So I would start with those three. I always bring a ton of bags. We always encourage that you bring your own shopping bags. Sometimes people bring coolers because we do have frozen meat, frozen fish, cheese, eggs, things that you typically want to keep cool. So sometimes it helps to have a little cooler in your car so that when you get back, because as we all know, it is scorchingly hot outside right now. And so I always encourage, bring a bunch of your totes, bring a cooler to keep in your car, and get ready to stock up. And so basically, I would recommend, get your basics first, and then just kind of pop around. Something that really means a lot to these farmers and these ranchers, but also these artisans and small business owners that make really wonderful products. They want to tell you their story. They want to tell you how they got here and what is in this vinegar and where it came from, and everyone has such a really beautiful story on how they got there. But not only that, but what this product means to them. And so I highly encourage, even if you don't plan on buying anything, you would be blown away about the relationships that you can build within our community just by simply talking to the vendors there, because they all have just really, really great things to say. So while it can be a little nerve-wracking, one of the best things that you can do at a farmer's market is get talking to that farmer, get to know what kind of farming practices they use, how they grow this produce. It's, early on, my husband would get pretty embarrassed when we'd be at restaurants and I'd be asking where the fish came from, and where is this beef coming from? But I think we all have a right to know where our food is coming from. Something that I believe in, a lot of people use the saying food is medicine. I truly believe that food is information. So what you're putting in your body knows exactly where to put it based on what it is. And so this food is information for your cells that is just going to be very excited once it sees that you're feeding it some of the best local produce and meat and all the wonderful things possible. So when you're shopping, something we can get into really is kind of how to store what you've purchased. And a really good example and a way to kind of think about it, really to dumb it down, is if I could picture a grocery store, where is this item in that grocery store? Is it in the freezer section? Is it being refrigerated? Is it being misted, every 5 minutes in that area? Or is it simply just in the center of the produce section? So a lot of the times, like your root vegetables, your potatoes, or your onions, your citrus fruit, those type of things are out in the open. So that is totally fine. And then the rest of your items, you can put in the refrigerator. Something that a lot of people find as a deterrent, which I find as so wonderful, because the word perishable. So most of the products that you buy at a farmer's market won't last longer than 7 days. And while some people that's frustrating, but when you look at the why behind it, we don't allow things that are shelf stable at a market. We don't want things that are filled with preservatives and sugars to make them last longer. That's not the goal. The goal is to eat something as fast as you can because it has the most nutrients available. It's fresh, and it's going to be just the tastiest thing you've had in the whole wide world. Something I think I hear the most complaints about is kale, lettuce, but also the most famous saying, which we're going to start cooking classes soon or cooking demos at our farmers markets titled, "What do I do with this?" Because I just see all these people schlepping all these bags and they don't know what to do with it. They buy all this stuff. It's kind of like the same thing, like never go to a grocery store hungry. You buy all this food and then you have no idea what to do with it. And so I always encourage, just start slow, get comfortable with it. It's not like you just started a new diet and you're racing to the store and you're about to spend $400 on stuff and you don't know how to use it. That's a definite waste, because especially this stuff goes fast and it goes bad quickly. But that is the beauty of buying fresh produce. It is going to go quickly because it is not shelf stable and it is not filled with, just all these preservatives to keep it fresh forever. Because a lot of stuff is sprayed, it's picked early. Whenever you pick things early, there are other elements to that fruit that can be harmful to certain people that are very sensitive, and that's like lectins, oxalates, salicylates, histamines. There's all these things and that nature has provided. So I'll give you an example. Say you're, a raccoon going through, someone's garden, or, you're out in nature and you come across something. So the plant itself has this defense mechanism where it's going to be bitter, it's going to make you sick if you're an animal. And so they learn it's not ready to eat. It's not this plant's time. And so essentially, if fruit is picked too early or produce is picked too early, it changes the makeup of that produce and kind of how it does really, nourish you. And so farmers market produce, you can't compare it. And so the people that have sworn off kale, sworn off spinach, lettuce, all of the things, they now are such avid fans when it comes from a farmer's market. Like, I highly encourage you to get some kale or, some green lettuce from the farmer's market. Get the same thing at the grocery store and do a taste test. Bar none, you will never get lettuce again from the farmer's market. Same thing with buying produce from the farmer's market and then buying the exact same piece of produce at the grocery store, cut it in half, and let alone just look at the color. You're going to get way more vibrant color to your local produce than what you see, because what happens is what's in the grocery store is not seasonal. It's year round. This stuff is being grown year round, typically inside or somewhere, and they're sprayed with a bunch of stuff. And what's happening is, once again, they're making it shelf stable. They're making it very presentable. But when you bite into, say, a strawberry that you get outside of strawberry season, it's going to be white inside. It's going to taste pretty watery, not a whole lot of flavor. You come to the farmer's market and you try our strawberries, it's going to taste like candy. It's going to blow you away. And so it's just another reason why to support local farmers markets. So kind of on topic of what's in season right now, I find myself honestly saying, this season is my favorite. Like I forget how much I love this season. Like, I think spring is my favorite. And then now I'm looking at everything that summer has to offer. And now, shoot, it's like summer is my absolute favorite time of what is in season right now. So a lot of the things that you'll see right now are first your berries. So I don't know if y'all have noticed, Houston farmers markets don't have a whole lot of fruit. You won't see avocados, peaches are sometimes really hard to come by. But right now what you'll see, and that's another reason why summer is so special, is you'll see the most of the fruit that you see year round in the summer. So watermelons, your melons. So watermelons, cantaloupe, cucumber, and then your berries, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries. You'll see those most prominently now. So that is another reason to get to the farmer's market early, because those go first. I mean, if you are like an hour late or an hour into the market, good luck. And so you'll see a lot of tomatoes. I will get to talk all about tomatoes in a second. These are, oh my gosh, we just literally cut them up on our counter here, sprinkle some salt and pepper on it, and just eat it like while we're getting ready. But tomato season's here, it's exceptional. You'll see a lot of root vegetables, so your carrots and your beets, tomatoes, sweet potatoes. Let's see, what else do we have? Your peppers, squash, zucchini, and then I'm sure there's a handful more, but oh my gosh, corn, hello, summer corn. We can't forget about that. And then my favorite, peppers, but then also your cruciferous vegetables. So your Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. Nutritionally speaking, if I could choose one food group of produce that I felt that was like the most beneficial from a health standpoint, it is your cruciferous vegetables. And something that I do find sometimes when cooking them is how to truly enrich that produce with flavor. And what's really great though is what's in season as well are peppers and banana peppers, serrano peppers, habanero peppers, jalapeno, all of them. And this adds, so this is something I love doing to cook with is I'll dice up a bunch of peppers. Typically I like the ones that aren't super spicy. So your banana peppers, let's say, love those. Cut those up, you know, and mince those, add them to my cruciferous vegetables, add like a little bit of bone broth, and then I let those simmer in my Dutch oven, and that packs so much flavor. But something that's so neat also about our farmers markets is that a lot of our vendors sell really awesome salts, you know, seasoned salts that have a bunch of great herbs that are in there that are local. We have a bunch of, you know, let's see, like different, like we have a blueberry chili oil, super awesome. Coach Anita and Co, I joke with her that her stuff is so spicy. And it's just because I did not grow up eating, a bunch of spicy stuff, but I'm like literally training myself. Every time I see her at the market, I'm like, all right, like I only sweat a little bit this time and like lost taste for like an hour, but you know, like it wasn't as bad. And so it's just kind of my life mission because she just has so many great things. So those lovely things, that's just a little bit of what's in season. I mean, it's so vast, but if I could categorize, it's your root vegetables, it's your melons, it's your cruciferous vegetables, but they are vibrant and they're beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. So next we can kind of get into tips on how to wash this produce, how to prepare it, how to store it. So something that's really neat, you know, when it comes to washing your produce. Now, I know they make sprays that you could buy at the grocery store. You know, they have things they recommend with vinegar and all these things. But honestly, in reality, the secret is, do you want to know? It's just water. So if I'm buying something at the grocery store, which isn't too common now, I don't need to, I spend literally 11 different times a month at a farmer's market. So I have a lot of opportunities to stock up, and I encourage that to you guys as well. There are so many farmers markets in Houston. You can find sometimes 3 or 4 in one day. And so, you know, if you feel like I need to go to the grocery store, if you find a routine every 7 days, you're stocking up on what you need. Produce typically can last you about a week. Bread, the same thing. Eggs actually last, you know, anywhere from 1 to 3 months. We have hydroponic lettuce that has the roots attached, that stays fresh for 3 weeks. And so just essentially by visiting, you will get so much knowledge on what to do and really kind of how to store these things in your home to ensure that you always have something available to eat. Because we also have really great prepared foods. But what's great about my markets as a nutritionist, I'm very strict on what ingredients I allow. So I don't allow any hydrogenated oils and nothing that's rich in omega-6 that might spark inflammation within the body. And so I'm just very strict on things like that. So when you shop in our farmers markets, you can absolutely guarantee that everything that you can get there is high quality and is meant to nourish the body. And so when it comes to washing my produce, if it is at the grocery store, yes, I wash it because I don't know how far it's traveled. I don't know how many different hands have touched it. So I simply, you know, cat's out of the bag. I just use filtered water. CDC recommends it, the FDA, everybody's on board with this, but I always use filtered water. I do not trust the Houston water. So sorry. It's filled with, you know, sometimes a lot of harsh chemicals. And so I recommend on anything using filtered water. And so all I do literally, especially with my root vegetables, because they come from the ground, they do have some residual mud left on it. I essentially just take my bowl and I have my filtered water in it. And sometimes what I'll do, especially for my root vegetables, I got this at the grocery store. You can get it from one of our vendors, Refinement House. She's an eco-friendly shop. She's so precious. This is essentially just a root veggie brush. And what it does is I notice most of it with my carrots, but essentially you're just sloughing off that first layer of literally just dirt. And I'll do that strictly with only my grocery store produce, which I don't get often. But you know, what's really great, so if you are buying your produce from the farmer's market, I honestly at times don't even wash it because the quality of their soil is exceptional. I don't know if any of y'all are gardeners, but by physically using your hands in the dirt, getting that dirt underneath your nails, you are boosting your gut microbiome, you are boosting your immune system, you are literally absorbing what is in the earth, and it is so beneficial. And so my view and many others are, why rinse that off of your produce? Like what you have living on your produce is beneficial to you. And so now there are times obviously where sometimes there's going to be a little bit more mud on my carrot that I would prefer. We don't always love the grittiness. And so with my root veggies, once again, this brush is so wonderful. And it just is, I mean, I don't even know, I don't have to do a whole much, but you know, can't really see in the bowl, but it collects pretty fast, but you can just see there are nutrients involved there. So that is what I do essentially, basically just with my root vegetables. If it makes you a little nervous, you're not gonna wash away all the healing benefits of your produce. But if you just wanna take a little rinse in a bowl with your hands in filtered water, that's all it takes. You don't need to waste money on anything at the grocery store that has this special wash, you know, it's just, especially if you are buying your produce from the farmer's market, you want those nutrients that are on the produce. So when it comes to cutting, what I do, so the way that the produce looks at the grocery store, sometimes what the produce looks like at the farmer's market is going to be a little different. Some people, it might look a little ugly or scary, or like, did a caterpillar live in there for a little bit before, you know, it found its way? So something that's definitely a-okay to do is cut around bruises or any weird spots. And so you can see here a little bit on these tomatoes, you know, you have where it kind of cracked and then the ground grew into it. And so simply all I do, I'm going to grab a knife really quick. But all I do is I just cut it out. So I will cut my tomato in half, something I just love with tomato season, just so vibrant, can't even handle it. And then you essentially just cut out that piece, and that's it. And then you just put it aside. And if it's wet, you know, you can take a dry towel, clean towel, and rinse it off. So essentially, wash it off, dry it, and then cut off any uglies. And that's it. You know, something that, you know, I used to do a lot of food styling with my photos. Now I don't have a whole lot of time to do that, but your food doesn't have to be pretty. You know, you don't need to worry about how you're cutting it. You know, does it need to be in perfect cubes? No, it does not. It just needs to taste good. And luckily, when you're dealing with local produce, the flavor is going to be there. I mean, rarely do I need to over season much of my vegetables, aside from those pesky cruciferous vegetables like Brussels sprouts. They just take a little time to absorb. But your tomatoes, eat those fresh. I mean, it's just so wonderful. Something that I do always keep on me, and I can also get this to the farmer's market, is a little compost bin. So Happy Earth Compost is who we have at our markets. They provide essentially this large, like painter's bucket, essentially, that once this fills up, I put all of my waste in here. I try not to throw away anything. I give a lot of our leftover produce to my tortoise, Clifford. But if there are any things that he can't eat, so like, for example, these uglies that I have over here go into my compost. And then at the end of every single day, I take this small bag, you know, that's in here, and I put it in my main compost that's on the side of my house. And then this company every other week just comes by and picks up my compost, and they turn it into soil, and it's awesome. And so I highly recommend people try to learn how to compost. That's a lot, and it smells really bad. So this service comes, and it's really great. Oh, yay, awesome.
Someone wants to know, how do you know if one of the vendors is selling organic produce?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, they have to. They have to. And I will say, we do not have any conventional farmers at our markets. All of our produce is organic. So you can guarantee that, but they will tell you, because once again, they are very passionate about their practice and how they are cultivating. And a lot of these farmers, they do regenerative farming. And so these are just really, really cool practices to get to know about. Yeah.
One more question came in. Where can they get a list of your farmers markets?
Yeah, so let's see. So we have a website, thefeelgoodgroup.com. So it's feelgoodgrp.com. That will have all of our, that will have Bearings Farmers Market on there, Spring Branch Village, the pop-ups that we do with Memorial City. So those are on there. And then, but mainly we always encourage Instagram. So we have HM Farmers Market on Instagram. We have Rice Village Farmers Market on Instagram. And so the reason why we like Instagram so much is that's where we put like our vendor lineup. We specialize, you know, who's popping up, you know, just like the one-timers that come in, but it's really a great visual of who is there, who are our vendors, and kind of what are they offering, you know, at that time. Yeah, so I would say our biggest is Instagram, Facebook, you know, we have that, and then feelgoodgrp.com. Yeah. How much time do we have? What time is it? 6:31. Oh my gosh, I tend to do that. All right, guys. Well, that really sums it up. But I will say, as you can tell, I absolutely love farmers markets. They shaped my health. They provided me a beautiful community of people. We cannot encourage that y'all support local as much as you possibly can. And thanks for tuning in. You guys feel free to reach out to me anytime on the Informal Grub. That is my main Instagram page. I love to hear from y'all. Well, thank you for tuning in. I'll see y'all next time.